6 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. First order of business is the pledge of the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. You will approve the minutes of December 3rd. So moved. Motion and second. Any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody. Members reports, we'll start with Ron.
I just want to say, last weekend's holiday show looked to be well attended. I went down for a little bit. So for those who participated and helped put it on, thank you.
Right on. Chucky?
No, yes, I know, no, nothing to get.
Yeah, right on. Yep.
It was the same, I was gonna say, same, nice, get together up there, everybody showed up, it was good turnout.
Yep, right on. And I would just say the same thing, right? It was a good turnout. We had a minor mishap with traffic, but I think we've got that sorted for next year.
You talking about the tractor thing?
Yeah, just the traffic we had during the parade. I heard a little bit of a fiasco there, but again, I think we've got it sorted with our reroute with some potential solutions there. Someone had asked for candy to stop being thrown, actually today, they're like, oh, you need to stop throwing candy. I don't know.
Then if you did that, someone said, well, where the hell again?
I would. Yeah. I know how the kids like that, so I think we have a solution for that. But a lot of work by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And really, yeah, it shows, really well attended, really pleased with
I
it.
meant to be there myself and ended up walking late, so I wanted to put my tractor with my grandkids in.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't make it, long day at work.
Okay, and that's really all I got. We'll kick it over to Richard for the town manager's report.
All right, what didn't make the list was, I had a meeting with the fire chief, last week to discuss. Well, we discussed at the last meeting, being the incident on Route 2 and whatnot, and gaps that were there. One of the biggest things that we narrowed right down was communication, whether it was what's in the field, what's in the department, what's in my office. And we've taken some proactive steps to try to get ahead of that for the future. I have a radio, so when they're in the field, I can get to them. I have my new call number too. So 299, if that thing blows up, I gotta get paid calling on that. Just joking, just joking. Anyway, I mean, it's things like that that help streamline communications, that will help improve that. It won't fix our problems in the future, but it will at least allow us to communicate better with the public in understanding that. We've met with firefighters and other members of staff to hear what they've had to say, what they had for feedback and concerns. And that is all being considered. We see opportunities, obviously, in terms of how we move forward. And so that has been duly noted by administration, being emergency management, and the fire department. And we go forward with confidence that the next situation will be handled better than the last, which is always the goal. But there was a perception is not reality, but that was one of the things I kept saying in the course of the meeting, was that for us, perception is not reality, but for the public, perception is reality. And so how do we better educate and inform folks that what you see is not what you got? And so we're committed to that, and I thank the chief for almost 3 hours of his time, I think, to review that and be constructive in feedback. So
Sarah had some options too. I'm not sure if she closed the loop with you, but I think she's going to emergency management for the county. So she had some input she wanted to give as well.
So then we'll go back in. After our last meeting, you remember we talked about consensus being putting $35,000 into a reserve to go towards the sewer department. And I'm wondering how we were gonna be able to afford that. The next morning I show up and Peter says, we just got $49,000 from the state. What does that belong to? And that is the state's reimbursement for our renewable energy facilities, being the commercial solar. So those commercial solar owners do not pay us taxes. The state of Maine pays us 50% of what they would have paid. That this year was 49,000. That is going to be recurring revenue for us. So it will slightly depreciate, very likely, and tied to the mill rate, but that is going to be something that will fit into our budget very nicely, ongoing, to help sustain directly the sewer expense that we put on the table. So that was a very meeting. Holiday slow, we've hit that. Your businesses, organizations, and individuals I mean, we tap businesses and organizations constantly, and we tap the individuals too, and yet they keep coming back. So I'm just very pleased and thankful for that, because the town does a lot. We have a town budget to do a lot, but it really takes the people to get that off the ground. City Logics, that is the pavement condition tracking software that we have bought into for the 3 years. That is up and running, and if you go to Public Works section of our website, there'll be a link to a public page where you can get the overview. You're able to play around with our segmentation. Obviously, not everything that's available to us, but it's a pretty good public facing tool that will help guide the road committee as we move into next year. But my training was complete on that last week, and so I look forward to sharing that and with the road committee and the public as we make decisions going forward. I attended the Smithfield Select Board meeting last night. They invited me down as a result of the solicitation that we sent for support. Provided an overview of our condition, explained the regional benefit. They did not make a decision. They have an application in-house that has to be filled out. The folks are asking for contributions, and so I completed that today and will be sending that down. Candidly, the temperature I got from the board wasn't that warm. It was one of those that we oftentimes feel here, that there are users and the users should be the one to fund, but I do appreciate the audience that they provided, some very thoughtful questions, and happy to have the discussion with them last night. Also, by coincidence, on that same agenda was their fire department with the preliminary proposal to approach the town of Mercer and necessarily remove the contract from us and Smithfield take that over. There weren't a lot of details. From my read, it was the first the select board had heard of it in this term, if you will. And so, you know, I spoke briefly about relationships, what we have now, what good relationships bring in terms of mutual benefits. And then also just the preparation and ability to respond. And when you have a small community, I mean, we used to be, there's a cost to being able to ramp up and provide that additional service to a neighboring community. And the concern that, you know, if you can't respond in your own community, how do you respond to somebody else's? And then who does that then fall back on? And it's a really complicated and in-depth discussion. And it was a very interesting discussion that ended up being shut down by the chair last night. But it's something that we're obviously going to keep a watchful eye on. It represents stability in our department and budget. It represents stability for Mercer residents and property owners. And it's something that we also need to keep in the back of our mind in terms of providing that service to our neighbor at a price that is reasonable and fair. That contract with Mercer for fire protection services lasts through December 31st of 26. So in this next cycle, it would be subject to negotiation. And we're going to keep an eye on that. Our current fuel system vendor at the airport and the associated processing company have made us aware that our current technology is being phased out effective December 31st, which can only mean one thing. It's a cost.
That's right.
And so the cost of maintaining the status, well, the upgrade with our existing provider is ballpark 7,000-8,000. And then the recurring annual fee is a 3,000, little more. So we've reached out to competitors. I've reached out to other airports, said, who do you guys use? But we go through our fuel vendor. So I've reached out to them. The first one that I got in was 18,000 upfront for the equipment. Well, the recurring fee is 1,400. So that, if you can keep the equipment for 15 years, it's the better deal, even though it's things up front. Honestly, it's gonna be something we have to do as of December 31st. We're not gonna be able to fluctuate fuel prices up or down without this technology. We're begging for an extension, but it doesn't seem likely. So this is gonna be an expense. There is money in the reserve account to do this, and Peter and I talked, and he's right spot on. Whatever we do, there's gonna have to be some sort of a built-in incremental cost that replenishes this. It's crazy.
Who is the
Yeah.
current outfit that's using?
It's fuel serve and multi-force, they're
Yeah.
basically the same, one does the software, one does the hardware.
And they're not known to be in the aviation sector. There's two others that are, and so those are who we're trying to get price quotes out of. The problem is that your equipment comes, but then it's not installed, and so you have to get the installer price, so. There are a couple different vendors that can do that, there's two in Maine have come across and one in New Hampshire. So we're waiting now for that comprehensive estimate, quote to come in. To say what's it gonna cost for the equipment and the installation and what's the recurring, so we can spread that out over 15 years and see what the cost is gonna be.
We don't pass that cost on to the users of the fuel?
We're gonna have to.
Well, so I mean, the cost of the equipment, no, it's just kind of. Indirectly, yes, but when you start talking about the annual maintenance, it's the cost of the software to do it, so it's the cost of doing business and. Inherently, it's what we charge in fuel price. You know, we make margin on the fuel, but we don't make enough margin on the fuel to pay the expenses.
Right, that's right. Well, what I was thinking in the back of my mind was that piece right there.
Same here, yeah.
Right, so what we really are going to have, we make enough in fuel margin to pay all of the fuel associated costs. But fuel revenue profit is also the largest contributor outside of fees for hangars that supports the airport. So we take we're supposed to take 10 cents a gallon and redirect that to pay down debt against the town. Some years we can, some years we can't. And then I think the next step we're gonna have to take is to take X number of cents per gallon once we figure out the cost of this. And do the same thing and apply it. So it might be a 10 or 15 cent surcharge on top of customary fuel pricing, but that's what we're gonna have to do.
I do got some questions about this stuff too, but it's not now, it's at the end of the ask them.
Yeah, I think, right, that definitely warrants an agenda piece
Yeah.
to discuss that in detail and long-term plan for that piece.
Yeah, so that's all that I have there. You'll see your upcoming board and committee meetings, which are pretty well packing in. As we come up into budget season, and the one that is missing there, the first meeting of the budget committee will be January 6th at 5 o'clock.
Okay. All right, thank you. Number 6 here, discussion action on December 18th, general warrant number 23.
Make a motion to approve general warrant number 23 in the amount of $286,490.51.
There is a motion,
I'll second it.
a second, any discussion?
This 182,700 for MSAD 54, that's as a group for the school department.
That's a monthly payment that we made. Yep, that's what, yes.
And my fee for me is the cameras for the airport, yes?
It's the down payment for cameras at the airport plus our monthly service.
Okay. And KRDA, I was.
That's the first part.
Okay,
That's 50% of our payment. Last year, we made a little bit more back than what we paid in. Starting to get there.
okay, think that's gonna be the same way this year, that those trending well still?
As long as they don't take on debt, we'll continue to make money back.
Where's Bolsters?
Bolster was handling a real estate listing for us.
Oh,
Tax acquired property, and so we were able to resolve that. We'll talk about that later in the meeting, but that was the fee that we settled on, that we incurred as an expense.
Okay, good. Really had garbage on my mind. I withdraw that comment. I vote, yeah.
The water district 51.5 for fire, is that just a yearly?
Hydrant.
Got 50% of our hydrant rental, some regular usage, and then our quarterly readings. Hydrant access.
Limited public use.
For fire.
Fire protection water. That's
I clarified that.
that's what it should say.
Cemetery.
Get off the line like that, babe.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody. Number 7 here, discussion action on December 18th, airport warrant number 12.
Make a motion to approve airport warrant number 12 in the amount of $16,690.37.
There is a motion,
I'll second.
a second. Any discussion?
Would the Roberts Energy be the fuel?
That's, yeah, it's non-ethanol.
CYR handyman service?
That's Sear. They were the folks that worked with the fence company to replace the gate. That's been reimbursed by insurance.
Are they local?
Nope, they came
Okay.
from like Belfast or something like that.
That's what, all right. Any further discussion? Really not much there. Seeing none, all those in favor, that's everybody. Public comment, anything out there from the public? Crickets?
Well.
The only one? Okay, seeing none, we'll roll forward here. Number 9 here, discussion action on library building committee recommendations.
Library Building Committee met yesterday. They seem to be putting a finishing touch on the concept rendering. And they are looking to move ahead with 2 contracts, the first being Sebago Technics. They are the firm that we've been with right from the start to do a site plan review and costing. And so everything to date's been pro bono. They're not charging us for it. It's their way of getting their foot in the door. And the product that they've produced so far for the committee, they've been very pleased with. So the proposal for Sebago Technics is 25% design, engineering, and cost estimated services for the library on the property that we're talking about. And the value of that contract is a lump sum $6,650. That is the first part of this. The second part is then your building layout and design of the building itself. What's within the walls and inside, and that was Haley Ward. The Haley Ward is our primary engineering firm, but we received a local recommendation for Dario. Pulling in his last name, Damari, is a very reputable architect, who then does the type of stuff that we're looking at. Here's your list of what we want to use our space for. Here's what we want the outside to look like. Here's a kind of a sense of the inside. Can you get a half a story out of this? All of those things. Then his firm comes in and proposes. That is on a TNM basis. And you can see this slate of schedule of rates in the email. Obviously, I like to go to a lump sum or not to exceed. They were resistant, but they were willing to estimate the total value of that contract to be $14,000 to $16,000. Yep. So the benefit of that largely is that if you get the demands of the group incorporated into this, then that is something that you could theoretically transfer, even if this wasn't the property, even if this wasn't the time. All of those priorities are incorporated into this plan. This is also, I'll say, a one-time contract. You're gonna get the benefit of these services, and this should be the only payment that goes out for this nature of services, unless you want changes. Whereas the Sebago that comes in at that 6,000 amount this is a 25% plan. It's not 50, 75, or 90. It's not construction oversight. So it seems like they're imbalanced and that probably one amount belongs to the other, vice versa. And that's just not the case. This Haley Ward architectural agreement is more a one-time thing. The committee unanimously recommends the adoption of both. And would like the money would come from library building reserve account. They understand that this could be money spent in order to say, we don't want this. But that's obviously part of public process. They're aware of that. They had a discussion about that yesterday. And the Haley Ward contract also does start with a kickoff meeting. And so ideally, if this was approved tonight, that would be January the 20th, where Haley Ward would come up and meet with the building committee. Any questions? And other than that, if we could do the contracts, consideration of the contracts separately, please, with the funds to be appropriated from library buildings.
And they have plenty in there.
They've got about 100,000.
And they were both unanimous for both.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion on the first one to accept the Sebago Technics bid up to the amount of $6,650.
There's a motion,
I'll second it.
second, any discussion about the first one? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody?
And I'll also make a motion to accept the second bid for Haley Ward to. What's the number on that one, Richard?
Well, there wasn't, it's time and materials based upon the schedule of rates
Okay.
with the cost estimate. I have it worded as on a time and materials basis, and that's all.
So,
Well, I like that. There's a motion.
Yeah.
Second, any discussion on that? One thing I'll say, it seems pricey, but.
It does.
If it works well, it's worth it. And like Richard said, at least if this doesn't work out at this location, it is somewhat transferable.
Right.
To a different lot, so
And the-
fingers crossed it does work here, but at least we're not wasting money, so to
Right.
speak.
and
So
by
how
taking
long-
Haley Ward, we use them for everything else, so we know what they do, and if we have issues, we've got them. We know where to find them.
How long do these last, these contracts? If it doesn't go now and we've got to push us down the road, there's usually a limit on these, right? 2 years,
Well,
3 years.
Yes, luckily we'll retain the drawings, right? So once it's rendered, they're ours.
Yeah.
We own them per se. So even if we chose not to continue with them, we would at least have those in hand. So at least you're walking away with something. I don't know if that makes you feel.
Yeah, it does.
Makes me feel a little better, knowing that we do get something tangible that we have. But again, I'm confident that they'll come back with something that's, what we're expecting. to
Has there
see.
been any opposition or anything, or any? We ain't got very far yet, I realize.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what my answer was gonna be. You know, I think it's too early to be in full support or in opposite. I think it's too early to be in support of the project, to be honest with you. I mean, we know we need a library. Well,
Could use.
a lot, the age of our library is old and tired, and the town would benefit from a new.
I haven't heard a lot of, well, cause it hasn't been real publicized, but I haven't heard any real backflack about, you know, I mean, like, you know, something, what the hell, I need that goddamn thing for.
I think that's a very important part of these contracts is what is it gonna look like? And how much do we think it's gonna cost?
That's,
I think that's a big one too, right?
Yeah,
How much it's
That's
gonna
the
cost.
cost of it.
Where you could, oh, that's gotta be.
Tonight, I see that for 24 million Americans, health costs are going up 126% as of January 1st. That's a huge hit on a lot of people, and
Yeah.
if taxes are going up, we have to be conscious of that for sure.
yeah, no, definitely. Yes, all right, motion and a second. No more discussion, I guess. We'll, all those in favor? That's everybody. Right on. Okay, number 10 here, discussion action on property maintenance ordinance. I apologize for my late in the game corrections to it. You know, I needed to prioritize some time, and look at that.
So we've had the working document. We talked about it at the last meeting. I received feedback from some members. And what I did was I incorporated those proposed changes as I could best accommodate each of the members' comments. And then I put notes to the side to try to explain it. So if you go to page 3, section 5, where it talks about structural soundness and weatherproofing. You know, that is something this would be duplicative, it would be overlapping with dangerous building, it's excessive. And we don't wanna have to overregulate anything on dangerous buildings or have questions as to which would apply. It's same at the bottom of that page where you talk about inoperable vehicles and the 3 inoperable vehicles. So it's vague when you talk about vehicles, is that electric scooters, is it cars, trucks, snowmobiles? So, and it also is largely duplicative of junkyard. If it's a motor vehicle, there are standards for that. If it's a pile of junk or machinery, there's standards for that. So that was asked that it be stricken out as duplicative. Over on page 5, a member expressed greater leniency on compliance or whatnot. And I think the window for appeal was improperly edited. And that needs to go back into a different section, and that would be my fault. So in section 9, it says corrective action in 30 calendar days. That is what needs to go to 120 days. The window to appeal in section 10 would stay 30.
Okay, all right, I do like that better. I was reading that earlier and I was like, oh, that's a little weird, but okay, I like that better.
And then there was the discussion, okay, about heavy-handedness. And the penalty. So the penalty under state statute says the penalty shall be a minimum of $100. That state statute, we can't get away from that. In terms of a land use ordinance, so I removed the minimum, the actual word minimum, and said that the civil penalty would be 100, which then took the town's ability to away to increase that. And I did that in an effort to accommodate a member's comment that it seemed egregious to go for excessive penalties. Happy to take comments, questions, suggested edits. If we want this to go to town meeting, we need to iron out the language tonight and certify that, because then after we would need to sign an order to referendum. Because we're coming up on the 90-day window and your next meeting will accommodate that, so. So go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I had some more things that I wanted in here, that just don't work. They're a little too problematic, and I think I just don't think people are ready for it, especially like the grass cut piece. We just kind of let that by the wayside. I think what we have here is like Richard said, a pretty good working document here. That if we do get out to the voters, and they do pass it, I think it's manageable and will immediately start to do some good. But still isn't so restrictive or so harsh on people that it's gonna be this massive burden. I think it gives us a little bit more legs to stand on getting things to where the vast majority of the town people want them to be. I know we have a few people with different views on what things should look like and what's acceptable. But I think this is a step in the right direction. We have a pretty good board here. I don't see any great changes coming to this board. So I think this will be similar to our site plan review as to where we implement it and then we continue to critique it based upon how effective it is or ineffective it is. But at least this gets the ball rolling, if you will.
You don't think you've got enough ammunition now? It looks like you're doing a pretty good job now of getting. I mean, you're busy as hell now. You're down here every morning and going right at it now. I mean, you've got quite a lot to work with now for what you're doing.
If you will, these touch on pieces that aren't really covered currently by what we have for the code office, which is really the dangerous building piece. And the state junkyard, which are state, I mean, they're not ours, I say that, but they are state ordinances. And this would be our piece that kind of covers it. What we have in here are the holes that are in the other ones. And in the read through, if you've been through and read what's there, I don't believe any of these create a burden for the little old lady that everyone pictures in their mind. That very much is not the case with properties that fall into this. So I don't think it creates a burden for the code office or the town to keep these enforced. I think it just.
How do you pick the ones you're gonna go get? I mean.
My question exactly, how are we?
I mean, like you went at, the one up on the Madison Road, that's way the hell up there in the woods. And in the Terry courses, that was like that forever. I mean. I mean.
So like also following on that, there's a lot of places that you can see from the road. Mentioned in my last comments at the last board meeting, understandable. How are we gonna? I don't know how to word about it. So we're gonna keep everybody the same, right? There's places you can't see, but you're gonna have to investigate, right?
I mean, what some people think the master, what other people think the master, two different opinions.
So this ordinance was drafted, I mean, it was redrafted to provide more specific frame for enforcement. Candidly, you're gonna find that staff will go largely on squeaky wheel. It's complaint driven. And then it's prioritized after that. So, I mean, obviously, when we look at junkyards, it's in town streets, it's it's numbered corridors. And that's where it's most impactful. It's impactful to the community in terms of appearances, but also to safety and where people are traveling the most. Then we could feather out into the more rural areas. And then you talked about, proximity to neighbors. water supplies and things like that, and then that then has, a bearing on, you know, public safety, public health. So a junkyard that's an illegal junkyard on top of an aquifer becomes a priority. We have one right now, and it is a priority for us, so I think you just have to trust that staff is going to do it, and it's not about going and grabbing one person and grabbing another.
But you
It's
got a,
giving them another tool in the toolbox.
you got a landfill atop an aquifer.
Pardon?
And your biggest pool, one, you got, your old landfill is on top of an aquifer.
Technically, yeah, the old, you're saying the one out here, right? That
And that's
kind
not,
of predates all of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
that, because
I don't even, was there a liner under that, just out of curiosity? I didn't,
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think
I didn't think so.
but I mean, you know, and that's never bothered, no sense to stir that part up, I mean, that's just crazy to even think about stirring that up, right? Cause most people don't even know that's. Was even, the down dump for 45 years.
Yeah.
Cause they put in all this thing, you know, this water drain away, you know, that, I mean. I don't think that even begin to be a problem with the way the water sits, but.
Right.
So question, so like under the junk retained items, it's got the definitions. Excluding building materials stored for an active project, but if you've got somebody that stores their building materials. Not for an active project, cause they've created one, or they do a bunch, they store them in their yard. This is gonna say we can't. So junk retained items are visited, broken, rusted, rotted, but remains outdoors for more than 90 days, excluding stacked firewood, building materials stored for an active project. So if it's not an active project, but you bought more than you needed and you're gonna store them on your property, cause you might need them in the future, this is gonna say you can't.
So I think you'll
Would
still
that
be
be-
able to,
Unless I shielded her.
Right.
I think we're getting paid there.
if you will, right, and I think that would also come through discussion. I mean, my property, I mean, if you remember,
Right.
I tore down the 3 barns.
Yeah.
Sold all the lumber, retained some of that lumber sat on my property for almost 2 years,
Right.
covered
So it's
in
not
a pile. And
It's
then
an
it
active
created the porch that's on the house now. But I think that comes with communication with this office, all the way around, as long as you're in communication, with this, you always have the ability to not work around these, but it's those cases.
Communication and talking about plans, I guess
Right.
would make a difference there.
But when you totally shut the town out and say, it's my land, I'm gonna do what I want, is when it starts to be a problem.
Yes, and no, I paid for the who are you to tell me what to do with it?
Right, what, very true.
Being us.
Yeah.
So if I have, I'm just gonna do it for instance, I don't have a working farm, but I put a bunch of cedar posts for my horse fencing on my property, it's. Not an active project, but I need them in case one breaks.
Yeah.
If I just tell you, hey, Matt, I've got those there because if I break 15, I have that there, but otherwise I can't keep them there for more than 90 days.
So
Or something to
one,
that
it
effect.
wouldn't be an issue until somebody called, right, they're like, geez, Ron's got all this stuff stacked right on the property line, and, right. That call, once it comes into the office, it's gotta be investigated,
But that does happen.
and in order for code to come out and investigate that. Nobody can come on your property without your permission, so they've gotta talk to you, and through that conversation,
Well, you're gonna
provides
see it.
clarity
Right,
on what the intended plan for that stuff is. So as long as I believe is that's communicated back, and everything is.
but what is that communication? You tell me. You can't by this code that we put out, you can't have those. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
no,
and how many of those
I mean,
people
like
do
some
we have in town that we're gonna restrict?
I mean,
I just think we're really
I mean,
overreaching and telling people what they have to, how the property kinda has to look. Even though we're not getting into the weeds of it,
Right.
we're still,
I mean, I had a.
You're either gonna conform or we're gonna
Insurance company
charge
charge
you.
I thought you had that out there for antique decoration. I mean, that was I mean, that's what they thought, I mean, oh, I was bringing working anyway, you turn in, you know. I mean,
And this part of it is hard because I agree 100%.
I mean, it's little
What you're
things, I mean,
saying, it's,
the nuts and bolts of it, I can understand, but some of the things, the definition of like junkets. Building materials that aren't for an active project. For
now
most-
isn't there an okay
Safety.
breakdown to down to the sign. Isn't there no dump right down there?
He picks it up and moves it.
I
Everyone
mean,
sees it.
but is that, some people might think that's junk, I mean. But it is, isn't it?
Oh, you, down by the
Yeah.
sound, where we
Don't
put some
bother me
flowers
a
and
bit.
stuff.
You put 10 of them down if
This is a hard part for me too, but I also appreciate the safety
No, I
that
do
we
too.
want for the public too. I mean, I know rodents can become a fast issue that you cannot get rid of, that I am dealing with right now. Myself,
Ricky the rat or the measles.
the rats, and they're not coming from my property, but boy, they are on my property. So I agree that we need something like this to help with those situations.
Well,
But it's also hard to vote on something like this, it kind of, tells me I can't do something.
well, we should have had that years ago, because when we had the landfill up there until 1975, come the fall of the year, we still had the hen house rolling. Didn't them rats come? Yeah, because them exterminators, you know, the only way to really get rid of them is have about 10 cats in that hen house. I mean, them exterminators, I mean, so,
And they're a lot of money. Exterminate.
Well, I mean,
Cats help for sure.
I mean, the cats, we got rid of them. I mean, them exterminators, they don't know, they don't know how to do, make a bill out.
Yeah, I get one every 2 months for 190.
If you have a proposed change for that, or striking, or,
I'd like to, I like what you're saying, that, communication with the town and with the code enforcement would help alleviate issues, If we could add that somehow, or explanation, because we gotta,
well, that is the caveat with all of this, even the state piece, when you're actively working with the town. You're provided leeway on 99% of this stuff. So you always have that, and a lot of this does come back to the discretion of the code officer.
It's really the select board,
Yeah, well,
because the select board votes to take somebody to court or not.
right. But it's funny, because like my property was a prime example for the stored materials.
Yeah, just little things like that, and then,
Yeah.
a structure is considered anything. So how many hobby farmers do we have in town that have little structures, if you will, for their animals and things that we're basically telling them how they have to have it and keep it, or it could be in violation.
Well, right, we struck everything on structures, right? Everything's,
Right, but the definition,
so the structures and the waterproofing, all that stuff went,
Went.
because that's already part of dangerous building. What we kept of that was the safety hazards. Steps, so those key
Okay.
pieces, the thought behind that was like first responders. I mean, if you come up and your stairs are junk, but the fire department's there to save you or put your burning building out, your negligence puts them in an unnecessary risk, whether it's them, the postman, UPS, not really fair to
Oil man.
expose those.
well,
Yeah.
man, I was just gonna say, junk in the yard you can't see under snow, most definitely safety hazard for anybody, yeah, oil man included, right?
Yeah.
Yep. No, it's definitely understandable.
And I can't imagine what my place would have looked at, like if I had just scattered those 3 barns across the property and not stacked them up, stickered them up, with clear plans of either selling or reusing that. I mean, it's evident by how it was done. But if that was just an explosion all over the lawn, that certainly would have been an issue.
That's burning desire.
Yes, well, right, there's no way to maintain it. I couldn't have mowed the lawn. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have been a
Yeah.
rodent issue.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that work into this. I don't know how you put it all into there. Your fence posts wouldn't be an issue, right? They were stacked neatly and nicely, but I mean, if they were just scattered across the front of your property in the right of way.
no, but even if they're stacked neatly and nicely, it's telling, we're telling them it can't be any more than 200 square feet. Right? I mean, so there's little things like that. I think if you really dug into it, it kind of adds up to somebody. So you've got that or a building material for a barn that somebody might need to repair, replace. If it's more than 200 square feet, it's considered junk if there's no plan for it.
Yeah.
So if they have it for a future, cause farm have to, I mean, not a work, but a house owner has to replace either poles or boards or anything like that. If it's 10 by 20, doesn't take up much to give you 200 square feet.
And irate neighbors are the worst thing. They start squawking about something.
Well, that's usually what prompts a lot of this stuff.
It does.
And if we don't have an ability to assist, it becomes a civil matter. And then you're trying to take your neighbor to court, which often does wind up being the little old lady that doesn't have that ability. And you hate for those things to fall on deaf ears here.
And you're always gonna have politics involved.
You would hope not, right?
Well, you better pray.
No, once it comes here, right? Once it comes here to us, I don't care who it is. I mean, I don't think it makes any difference to you who the person is with the issue, right?
Yeah, we shouldn't be,
We're indifferent, right? We're not, that's part of the job title here, right? Doesn't matter if we treat Todd the same as we do Peter or Skip, doesn't make any difference.
yeah, we're supposed to, right?
It would be efficient to ask for more focused conversation.
What do you want?
A motion,
Like, right,
an affirmative motion, so it would be a motion to approve this ordinance and then see if it gets a second, and then it can focus discussion on either sub motions to modify or no more motions, and then it gets vote. But we could sit and talk for hours, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're voting on this, to put it on the referendum, right? Ultimately, the townspeople are gonna make the decision on.
yes, yep. Could you just strike active from the building materials? That's slightly more appealing. Like I currently have 2 lumber piles for a building I'm not constructing yet. You know what I mean? That's on my own property.
Right.
But I haven't started those yet. Those will be late next fall, right? When I have some downtime is when I plan to construct those.
You're the engineer.
You're exact, we're still planning it actually, right?
Me personally, I don't care if somebody has, if they've got 600 square feet of 2x4s stacked on their property and
Yeah.
it looks fairly decent, I don't care.
Right.
I mean.
Be there forever.
They've got a reason why they want that or have that on their property. I shouldn't
Right.
say that's more than 200 square feet, And this neighbor complained about this person, but the old person over here has the same exact thing, but nobody complained about that one, so nobody said anything to them. But we're gonna address this one because somebody called about it. And then you go talk to them and they say, well, my plan, Matt, this is what I'm gonna do with my 600 square feet of, this is why I have it. We give them, say, okay, yep, nope, you're good. But then we get another complaint because we didn't address it, and this says anything over 200. Even though, I just think we restrict ourselves. So we give this guy an okay, because he says, Matt, this is why I might need those 2 years from now. And I have them, they're stored neatly in my property, and we give them
A rock.
a buy,
Yeah.
if you will.
Yep, leaning.
And then the next one doesn't have any answer and says, screw you. So then I'm not even gonna talk to you about it. And they're in violation of the ordinance, but we did for one and not the other. Does that make sense?
Kind of. But I mean, really, communication is key, right? I mean, if you're not communicating with the people that are asking you for the explanation,
Right.
does that not itself warrant?
It is, but I guess maybe I'm misreading, but so when you go out there, even if somebody communicates, they're still in violation. And they tell you, Matt, I'm not gonna fix that, and this is why I have it. They're still technically in violation. Right? So basically, we're gonna say we're giving you a waiver. Even though you're in violation, we'll give you a waiver because you're communicated with the town.
So we do that all the time.
We have,
We issue a notice of violation to document the event. It largely causes communication.
Yep.
And when those communications tend to be positive, which you'll hear from me when I'm acting, no, I'm sorry, is as long as the ball is moving in the right direction, keep moving it.
Yeah.
It's when that ball stops or it goes backwards that we have to move forward. Or when a property owner is just belligerent and just says, you know what, we don't care. and we're gonna do what we wanna do.
Yeah, no, I guess I understand, but what's our response to the complainant that's called about their neighbor who is technically in violation, but they communicated to us, and then the complainant calls back and says, how come you guys haven't done anything about that? It's,
How do we handle
You
that?
basically, you
You
basically
tell-
explain it to them about what it is, and I mean. We have active junkyards right now that are signing agreements to get it cleaned up, not in the window that's stated by the ordinance, but what the owner can do to make happen.
right, but what if we said, okay, that's stacked neatly and you don't have to clean it up because, you know, it's stacked neatly, you're telling me. Because of what you have, your little hobby farm, you're gonna need those, okay, we're good with that. Then the complainant says, well, the ordinance doesn't say that. The ordinance says if they have this, it's a violation.
Right.
See what I mean? It's just
Gives the appearance of picking and choosing.
Yeah.
kind of where I'm going,
Might happen, yeah.
without putting it in so many words.
I don't know how you can provide that clarity piece other than a caveat at the bottom. That really already is there, that this falls to the discretion of code and this board. To ultimately decide what isn't forced upon, I mean. If the code officer does something, it basically is signed off on by you guys. So it's not like one person making all the decisions, it's collectively you have a group of 6 people. That decide where these things go and end up. So that it's not just one person playing favorites or.
So what was it you needed for a motion or to
It would be a
to
motion to certify the language of this
talk
ordinance.
about it?
You give an affirmative, you can't make a negative motion, so you make an affirmative motion and then just start narrowing your conversation. And that might be just as simple as, I don't like it, or I like it. Make your way around the table and get a closer consensus of the group.
So motion moved as Richard just explained, so we can at least get it talked about with a vote. So I don't have to repeat what you just said.
So there's a motion there to,
Approve the town of Norridgewock property maintenance ordinance and to sign the certification of official text for the proposed ordinance.
there's a motion for that, is there a second for that? I don't normally second, but I will second. So there's a motion, a second, discussion. I think we were initially having that right. Prior to the motion, do we like the striking of active out of that piece right there? Under retained junk, building materials stored for a project opposed to for an active project, as long as there is some intended, you know what I mean? I mean, they're gonna sell, like, keep them for, you know, whatever the reason is, as long as there's some logic in the storing of that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes, at least that section a little bit better for me that, you know, we're not just telling people that they can't.
Right, well,
Store
and like you said, I mean, I have I have lumber on my own property,
Yeah, me too, you know,
right,
sometimes I use it right up, other times it sits there 6 months.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah,
Sometimes it rots.
And sometimes it does, yeah.
Richard, yeah, go ahead, please.
Is there any substantive change to this ordinance that you would vote in favor of passing this on for a vote?
Other than what we just talked about?
Chucky, how about you?
No, I'm against the whole thing. really.
Okay. Gab, how about you?
I'm not against the whole thing,
You think it's something that we can achieve here tonight? Refining this ordinance to put it to voters.
no, I don't think it will.
Okay.
By the sounds, we need more than,
So I think the appropriate thing to do, your motion's gonna fail, if
Yeah.
not for a tie, you know, there'd be no action on this. So my suggestion to the board would be call the vote. And we'll workshop this and it just won't go to voters in March. Doesn't mean it can't go in June or November or the following March.
Right.
And what we can do is we workshop this when we've got some time after budget's through. We can revisit and maybe we'll get a little bit more public participation, but I think my feel on this is we've got a stalemate. at the very least, it's gonna be a 2-2, or maybe a 3-1 at this point in time, so.
So you even need a motion, or do we just wanna take?
There's a motion in a second, so I think you just vote
Okay.
the motion and then the board can agree to revisit in a future date.
Okay, so there's a motion to, certify what's there, right, I mean, all those in favor, I think that's just me, and those opposed? Right, so the motion fails.
But I do like the idea of workshopping it so that we can hash that stuff out in a session just to do that.
I agree with that.
I think we can get somewhere with it.
I think so too. I'm not against all of this by no means. I think there's some good stuff that we do need to let the town talk about and vote. And we do need the town to be more involved with stuff like this.
But I
We
mean,
need to know
I don't know how you go about it, when you get human elements, you've got a difference of opinions, but I mean, like, I don't know if it should be brought in front of the planning board or not, because that's a monkey show and a half too, when you get involved in that, I mean, just like that, and,
Valid point, Chuck. You want to refer this to the planning board and ask the planning.
but I mean, just like that update on that subdivision thing, I mean, that was, seems like a lot of wasted time and money that, I mean, I don't know if it was or it wasn't, but I mean, you know,
Right.
it can be just, you know, like watching paint dry at times.
That's why we offer generous stipends to the planning board members for their
Yeah.
participation.
Certainly wouldn't hurt to send it over,
No, suggestions
I
and
mean-
input from them
really,
would definitely
I
help.
mean, you get so many different opinions on things. And so much of this stuff is like, it's perception, where some people think it's a mess, or some people don't think it's a mess. And some people don't know what a mess is.
Some people don't, right? Yep.
They
I think the
don't-
biggest part of this is public safety, not just what we can see.
right,
It could be anywhere and we really.
We'll take the oil man with us.
For sure.
So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send this to the planning board.
yeah,
Because before you guys have a chance to come back to this, which will be
Which I think-
March, the planning board's.
I heard that out in the bushes some. Why didn't that go in front of the planning board? I mean, I never brought it here, I mean, I heard that some.
Yep, I'm not against this.
no.
More
I mean,
input.
Well, I think it'd be a constructive conversation with another 5 people that can vet some of this stuff out before it comes back to this board. How's that?
Yep. I like
You're the professional.
Well,
yeah, well put, Jack, right, that's what they do,
we'll give it a try. Okay,
okay,
on to it.
so there's that,
He laughs, she smiles.
moving forward. Number 11, discussion action on referendum orders for annual town meeting.
All right, so we talked previously about what this board thought would be a referendum or what it should be. It's my understanding that you wanted ordinances voted on by referendum. So that would be your ethics ordinance, your amendments to the sewer use ordinance, and your amendments to the subdivision ordinance. Is that understanding in line with your understanding or expectation?
Yep.
So, if that's the case, the first motion would be to approve and sign the municipal officer's order to place a question on the ballot for a secret ballot referendum asking shall an ordinance entitled Town of Norridgewock Ethics Ordinance be enacted.
So moved.
Yeah. It's a motion and a second, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, that's everybody.
The next would be the same motion, but shall an ordinance entitled Town, 2026 amendments to the Town of Norridgewock Sewer Use Ordinance be enacted.
So moved.
Motion. Second, any discussion on those? Seeing none, all those in favor?
And the next would be the same motion, shall the amendment, the 2026 amendments to the Town of Norridgewock subdivision ordinance be accepted.
So moved.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, that's everybody,
Great,
all of those?
that's gonna take care of the 3 of those, yeah. That's signature there, oh, no. Please.
Do you, what is budget a whole, is that many budgets there or just?
There are many budgets there, but I have one more item on this, and that would be to make a motion to sign and post the municipal officer's notice of public hearing on proposed ordinances for the ordinances we just discussed. That public hearing would be set, the first would be January the 7th at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
Motion,
A second.
second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's everybody.
We will have the first and at least two public hearings on those three ordinances and modifications. It's our next regular meeting, but these documents will all be, they all are on the town website for your review. And you can submit written comment to us either through direct distribution to the board or through the town office. All set with that?
Yep. All right, number 12 there, budgets.
So you've got what is a relatively complete budget proposal in front of you. Full transparency, I have not met with RAC, they are meeting next week. And I have not met with Parks, they're also meeting next week, so it's your meeting on January the 7th. You should have a full proposal in front of you. But to give you an idea as to where we sit today, I have put in recommendations for Parks and Rec. From what I can see, not knowing what they may or may not suggest, and so that gives you a better picture as to where we are looking total picture. So we can work our way through these departments progressively, but as we get set into it, what your budget is looking like under my purplish blue column, the net to taxes this year would be $685,845 versus last year $717,433. That is a net decrease of 31,588 in this municipal budget. That does not account for school or county, obviously, but this does represent a decrease overall in municipal budget.
Well done. Yeah.
It doesn't account for other potential changes that may come out of Parks and Rec, but as we get to those, I'll high level them. Probably shouldn't review those tonight, but some of the things that we talked about previously have been incorporated into my reviews. So if you want, we'll jump right into administration, which is your largest increase among all of your departments. And that is largely wage related, contract, top to bottom with the exception of the finance position. We have contractual obligations there. Your health insurance across the board is up 9%, whether it's a buyout or it's just a straight take. Our rates are up 9%. With
How much you
rise
say?
9%.
Oh, there's a nine.
I know, sorry. 9, single number 9. With rising wages come the FICA increase, the benefit increase, forecasted workers' comp, and your paid family leave. You're gonna see that across any department that has a person in it. And so that's where a majority of your increase is there. We had some slight increases in our software, and then the other major line that you'll see an increase with is in our audit, which is about 50% up. And we did have an early payment, which showed, I'll say, an over expense for this year in that line, although the department budget is in good shape. But the fact is that the cost of our audit is going through the roof, and that is a result of supply and demand. We are able to keep an audit within usually 12 months of year end, which is not commonplace anymore for a lot of municipalities and school districts. So this brings your total spend in the department is an increase of $29,000. Your net to tax from this department with increases in revenues as well is $12,000 to fund the administration department. You'll see some one-offs on things like lien fees. Lien fees are going up because registry fees are going up, but your lien revenues will go up proportionate to that. Great questions.
Why is code enforcement going down?
We're not gonna end.
What's that?
We're not the code enforcement.
No, I'm sorry.
We're on administration.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Skip right ahead of it.
Right.
I was like, I didn't even see that. Where was it?
See the first page, but, oh, sorry, I get to it. You said that health insurance is only up 9%.
Yep.
That's something that's already been obviously checked into, right? It's not, with no surprises with that.
No, they've published the rates most of the next year.
Who's it through?
Municipal health trust.
is it through, do they do the anthem or? Do you know,
Yeah, it's Anthem and, yeah, it's the same stuff the county has access to.
they're actually changing
Oh, they are,
Cigna,
okay,
so just something that there was, I think depending on how many, but it seemed to be a significant savings to both employee and county by switching.
okay.
So
Yeah, is the coverage going down?
no,
We're
no,
not
it
that.
seems, I mean, you kind of have to look at it, but
Yeah.
apples to apples from what we've seen so far, I guess. We didn't have a choice, but
We didn't need
just
it.
something to look at, and we don't have that on the insurance through the town, so it may not be beneficial for us.
Get old and get Medicare. There's some advantages.
Mhm. We changed too, and the cost did go down for us, but the coverage went down too.
Hurry up and get old.
Believe me, I'm running right to it. No matter what I do, I can't slow it down.
Yeah.
See any glaring questions?
No, right, yeah, nothing like a sore thumb sitting there,
Yeah.
right, small things.
Full excise tax, huh?
Actually budgeted pretty well last year with everything and how the actually
That's
fell, it
Yeah.
actually looks pretty good,
Yeah.
looking at it.
Some stuff
Yeah,
went down.
yeah.
I mean, these are a little stale, I mean, obviously, they're about, well, it's a month out. Right, so we should come in under where we should be.
Yeah. Yeah, the interest income was
Yeah.
good, really good.
Correct. But we have to scale that back because we're not gonna make the interest income that we made last year.
Right.
The what?
Well, we won't make interest income the way we made it this last year.
Oh, yeah.
We still hold pretty strong rates, but
No,
No, that's a good thing. Yep.
Got a big speech coming up tonight.
you're gonna make a motion on this department's budget so you can go home and see it.
Oh, hell no. They'll pound that to death. Well, you hear about that for a week. Rerun it and rerun it.
you're looking for a motion just to accept
Yeah,
administration budget as proposed, so moved it.
there's a motion,
Yeah, I'll second it.
motion a second, to go, right, our recommendation will be the town manager's request, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody,
The next sheet is elected officials, we're passing over that, and that is excluded from mine, which will throw your number off, because we're gonna rely on the budget committee, hopefully. To develop these numbers, this will be task number one for them at their meeting, to review elected official stipends.
okay,
That goes back a while.
Mhm.
oh, right, right.
This board assesses planning, but all of that, we're gonna ask them to take a look at. Moving on to tax assessing, there is a small bump, I think it was a 5% increase in the contract for this year. And so that represents a 1,200 increase on that department. Mapping expenses will be flat. That's mapping adjustments, as well as the online platforms.
Who doesn't enforce the map, is that one right here?
It's done through, Donna makes manual changes in-house, and then that gets sent to CAI Technologies in Littleton, New Hampshire. And then they make the adjustments to our hard copy maps and then the online maps as well,
How often is that done?
annually.
So once a year that gets sent down and,
We just got the maps back last week.
okay, all right, yeah, and then we immediately plug it in and that's what you see when you go online.
That's done before we even get the hard copy maps.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to accept Article 7 as proposed by the town manager.
there's a motion. There's a motion and a second, to go with the town manager's request. Any discussion on that? Nope, seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody.
Public safety, I'm gonna ask that we pass over this because I know animal control. Had been looking for an adjustment, but to give you kind of a picture as to where we're looking, it's flat. It's gonna be flat here, so we will revisit this at your next meeting. I don't expect any major changes, but the call volume that we're generating related to animal control is outpacing other communities, and he's seeking compensation for that, so.
I would love to see a list. Is that possible to see what we had for calls and what they were? I mean, does he keep that?
We have monthly reports.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That's what we
I don't
pay.
know if the board has any interest in seeing that
Most
information.
definitely.
I would,
Yeah,
it would be interesting to see that.
yeah, then we'll.
We will oblige, it's
Thank you.
not the practice of the board to review employee time submissions,
Yeah, go ahead.
but we will provide.
This- I wasn't looking for time. I was just looking, I know there was an interesting one with a horse.
Yes, yes, just a total of calls for service or something
Yeah.
We'll,
like that.
we'll pull it together and
Okay.
pull it out when
Thank you.
it doesn't,
I didn't
yes.
mean to overstep there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's just a
I-
calls, how many calls we're
Yeah.
getting for the year, something like that, we can.
I had to say it because I had to say it.
Again, that.
I know.
Gotta watch my.
Next up is the fire department. And the fire department, is proposing a modest increase in their operating budget, and I will turn it over to the chief.
Okay, thank you. So overall, the punchline is, 2.9% increase request. Keeping in mind, before I go back to the top, that, 86% of the fire department spend is labor and benefits. So as labor moves, as benefits move, as things, like insurances move, you know, that's a big driver of the number. So, I'll hit the high level at the top. I budgeted 4% over this year for, increase in wages for, full timers. I'm keeping the chief and deputy chief flat, again this year. The line item for the call firefighters. You really have to look at lines 4 and 5 together. So I wanna make some substantial changes there. Well, the first thing I wanna do is increase the call firefighter wages from 17 to 19. It's frankly just 17 is just not enough. But that's largely funded by eliminating the overtime night rate that we've been toying with, and was sort of an experiment over the last couple of years. It didn't really produce the results that we were looking for. So that largely funds that increase. Also eliminating some officer stipends, down 6,000 there. So that budget line looks like it's down 6,000, but it's offset largely and then some by the next line item. It's something that's new. We want to create a weekend officer call rotation list, right? Because frankly, I'm tired of having to be in town or available 24/7, 365, and I need the opportunity to go away without a major scheduling event, right? Which is what it is now. So we're looking at doing a call rotation. In order to do that, I think it's appropriate you pay that officer to be around for that weekend.
Yeah.
At $200 a weekend. That doesn't include the chief and deputy chief again, who are on flat salary. But $200 there, it sort of, those two lines just sort of offset. When you look at the rest of it, the next 4 or 5 lines, it's just math. Really not much you can do about it. It's benefits. It's the 9% increase in insurance. There's nothing I can do about any of that. And then from there down, it's largely flat. I mean, it's up maybe a couple $1,000. The whole rest of the thing is up a couple $1,000 overall, for a total increase of about 10,000 from previous year. Which is 354,100 354,100 for 2.9%. I worked on this a lot. I would challenge you to find this to save the nickel. Because I mean, I'm trying to be, I'm a taxpayer too. And I don't see it. I've been as frugal as I can with this. And I'll take any questions that you have.
I mean, it's labor costs.
Yeah, what do you,
And
what do you
and
do?
on that note, looking at that overtime line from last year, thank you.
Yeah.
I know that was our concern last year, that overtime line was way up over and you've got it right back in line.
I have, and I review this monthly, Peter will tell you, Rich will tell you, we're trading emails every month, what do the numbers look like? And to a large degree, I can't control when the calls come and all that, right?
Yep.
But it is tracked and controlled to the extent possible. Heavily tracked. Any questions about that?
How did your call volume,
We're over 300 already.
and what were you?
So we were 306
Okay.
2 years ago. Last year, we were down 284 or so. Didn't have any major events last year. Usually it's like a big windstorm or something like that that will drive the number. We really haven't had anything like that since December of 23. So we were down a little bit last year because, you know, it ebbs and it flows. And now this year we're back up over 300 and have been over 300 most of the month. Yeah, so, and the way things have been going, we might be 320-ish, so it'll be an all-time high.
Just to reiterate, which we started out with, but the proposed budget here eliminates the stipends for officers
Yeah,
and transitions that into an actual tangible, measurable compensation mechanism for.
Rich.
I like that, I think that's a good idea.
Is that why the full-time ones are down some?
I'm sorry?
You got the full-time ones are down a little bit from the year before. I'm looking at that, right?
Well, that was when the actuals were reproduced.
Yeah.
Without, that will accrue in through the first week of January and a little bit beyond actually.
Yeah, at least two more payrolls.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I looked at it, Chuck. At the beginning of December, I anticipated what else was to spend in December. And I did what Peter just said, oh, okay, there's two more payrolls, I hit that. I figured that 25 was gonna come in somewhere around 101,300, somewhere in that ballpark for that first line item. And then I added 4% to that. That's how I did those first two line items.
That line's the easy one to nail. The top line is predictable. It's
Yeah,
42 and a half
very
hours.
predictable.
It's the overtime one that you don't know where it's gonna go. Yeah.
But again, I just carried 4% over anticipated actual for that. So. You know, that's how you keep the total down to 2.9 when you're facing these big insurance increases and things, as you really look at, okay, I know what I budgeted last year, what I actually spent, right? And okay, is there an opportunity there? And those were a couple lines that, you know, able to get a few bucks out of each one of those, so it's a challenge to present this, but I'm confident.
So
And
last year's, you say to you 10,000 less from what we budgeted, but your actual is 10,000 less. What do we do with that money?
There's, not yet. But I'm anticipating. By the end of this year, in the next 2 weeks, and he pays all of his payrolls and all the bills and everything, that will be maybe as much as 10,000 under what's budgeted for the year.
Yeah.
It's a great position compared to where we were a year ago, right?
Sure.
The answer is that laps into, undesignated and just surplus.
Right in, but.
I love in the future, when I'm out of ideas, and that's not yet. When I'm out of ideas for you, I'll come to you and say, I think that undesignated ought to go into capital reserves, because fire trucks are getting so expensive, right? So that's a discussion for another.
That was my other-
That's the other part of that. Fund that we use to offset taxation as a
Yeah,
whole.
well, right,
It's-
it's double edged.
It also gives me an incentive to save a dollar on taxes if I can, and not that I don't already have incentives.
Well, the other side of that question I was gonna say is, with the new fire truck, coming in, is our expenses gonna go up just for having the new truck? Which it should, right? I mean, certain insurances.
Insurance was the only thing that we added to specifically for that. There's gonna be some very minor things. This truck uses DEF fluid, the old one doesn't, whatever, small stuff. But
Well,
insurance
that
was
could
the
be-
only one that we juiced because of that.
The deaf system can be an expensive system when it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
So hang on to that 10,000.
Fortunately, we're gonna have warranty, right?
Well,
for
it does
months,
help.
so,
That does help.
Yeah, what it pumps up, you have to.
I'm telling you,
That is worth
every
noting.
day, yeah, every day my trucks have them type of issues.
It is worth noting that our insurance was bumped up in anticipation of the new truck, and frankly, for a couple of months. We're gonna have an extra truck, you're not gonna take the insurance off the other one, what if you wanna move it out this door and put it in that door, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be
Yeah.
insured for at least a small one.
Sure.
There's a two-step bump to the insurance because of the new truck. We will get through July 1st free on the brand new truck. So we're gonna get rid of the old truck before that, and then that will get factored into the next year, so we'll only see half of that. So you'll see another incremental in your insurance line, your property casualty next year to make up for the new truck. And it's not cheap because it's replacement value driven.
How long is the warranty on that?
No.
Right. I know it's not.
There is-
mileage, right?
There
It
is.
ain't mileage.
Well, then some are, right, my trucks are
Not for fire truck.
right, but obviously not.
There's a myriad of warranties on those trucks. Example would be the poly tank has a lifetime warranty, or the pump has a 5 or 10 year.
Yeah, I would say like a chassis.
Well, the chassis is gonna be you're gonna run out of time before you run out of miles, and that's 5
Right.
years. That's fine.
It is fine.
Oh, it is five, well, okay, that's longer than I didn't think it was 5,
I
so
didn't think
that's,
it would be either.
yeah, that's actually pretty
Is
good.
that
And it's a little bit less on, that's on material, and I think it's 2 or 3 or something like that on labor.
Really?
Right, cause your warranties are different, right? You got your chassis from the manufacturer, and then you got the people who built the truck and the stuff they
And
put
then
on
there's
it.
a
It's
bunch of things they buy to go on there.
makes sense.
The Husky 3 phone system is gonna have something different than the one.
Is that the total tax bill for the fire fund?
On the,
Is that for the building and the trucks?
I'm sorry,
Is that for the building and the trucks at 8,000?
yes,
Oh, the insurances?
No,
we
it's all-
added about 1,000 to accommodate the new truck for 6 months.
just to insure all that stuff, huh?
Probably cheaper, I think. God, they say, well, that's when that farm was going, by the time you're gonna get everything added up.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, on insurances, we anticipate ending this year somewhere around the $7,300 mark.
Cause you shouldn't burn it down.
We put it up to.
No. Right.
Well, you don't
You
know.
hope.
They're out of the station fighting a fire and something happens in their own place. It can happen.
Fire stations have burned down.
Yeah, I know, right, Jackie just yanked us right there.
Oh, we don't believe in that.
So 8,500 for insurance is one of those items that's up significantly more than the 2.9 overall.
That should be fairly cheap.
I'll make a motion to accept the fire department budget as proposed by the town manager, his request.
Motion, second, any discussion?
The only other thing I want to say is thank you to the all firefighters. I didn't realize that they worked for $17 an hour.
Yeah,
So thank you to them and
Yeah.
thanks for looking out and at least putting an adjustment in there.
I'm gonna hit that one, I will hit that one again next year.
I mean,
You got
I think you kind of have to.
running right towards
So
danger.
what was it, you had someone that got a stipend, but whatever they call them, lieutenant or the captain or whatever
Yeah,
they.
pay him and I don't wanna speak ill of anybody, and I don't have anybody to speak ill of. Let me be fair on that. But the officers
Got
got a additional check, if you will, at the end of the year for doing officer things. And honestly, they could have got that if they didn't come at all. However, I don't have that. I don't have officers that don't come, so, but I'm being, the point, and Richard said it well, is you're actually tangibly putting. Cover this weekend, get $200, right? And in essence,
Makes sense.
roughly the same amount of money at the end of the year, but you've. It's more directly tied to activity, I think. It's probably the best way to say it.
I think that's good.
And once budget's kind of settled in terms of review, we'll be back to talk about that proposal to make sure that this board endorses the components of the plan. He's been through me half a dozen times and his officers have bounced all of that stuff, so we wanna make sure that gets in front of you guys to understand and bless that before it really gets
Kind
going.
of some rules of the road, because
Yeah.
I don't think it's up to any one person to make sure that this town is covered.
Yeah.
24/7, 365. You know, Dave did it for a long, long time, but, that doesn't mean it always has to be that way.
Sure.
It's not fair.
It's a rotating, a
Absolutely.
rotating list, right? Not everybody's on it, but those, and to be fair, it doesn't have to be officers necessarily. We probably have a couple people that could be on that aren't officers.
No.
Because they've been around long enough and they know what to do. But we're gonna start with officers. So, yeah, we can hit that. I don't wanna start that program out of respect to the voters. Who could. Frankly, the budget committee and the voters in January. And then March, budget committee in January, voters in March. Could bump our budget down, and we could have some reduced number, even though I feel like we've been as tight as we can. Somebody could reduce it, so out of respect for that process, I'm not gonna start the weekend thing until after town meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Good.
Oh,
I got a motion in a second. Unless you're gonna interject for discussion. Otherwise, all those in favor? That's everybody.
We can pull to the last sheet in this section quickly.
Thank you.
And that, the very final sheet in this section is capital reserves, marked tentatively Article 24. So that Todd could speak to the request for fire equipment and fire building. Capital reserves, you think? Yes. And we're just gonna be fire for right now. We don't customarily ask for a motion on this when we take him out of order. He likes to have one, but I think that we can work through this for another night. When we see the total
I'll probably
picture
be
for
here.
capital reserves.
I'll be here anyway. So we did now for all of the. Tight budget that we did down, up above of the 2.9%, on the capital reserves, not quite the same story. If you look at the fire equipment. So I have to take into account what's the balance gonna be at the end of the year, he's got a $460,000 check to write. And, there's adjustments being made there, some additional spending you guys approved. If we wanna keep to our 25-year replacement schedule on fire trucks, we need to buy our next one in approximately 2031, okay? So put that out there in 2031. And then you say, okay, how much is that gonna cost? And for budgetary purposes, I've used the number 700,000 because they've just been going through I have no idea, but they picked that number. And some quick math tells you that we weren't really saving enough to get there. And so I'd asked for 110,000 last year, and that fortunately that got approved. This year, so I asked for 120 initially, and then I need a set of turnout gear for a new firefighter. We have none that's gonna fit him. He's 6'8", and I just don't have that.
Yes,
so
true.
even gonna fit in
Yeah.
a.
The other night, I was like, can you just keep that smoke detector down for me? It's really handy. But where it's not handy is, he's in hand-me-down stuff now that doesn't fit. And so in January, I'd like to go buy him a new set of gear. We have the balance, but to replenish that, because I don't wanna start taking fire truck money someday to buy gear. So we really need to be saving at a better rate. So 125 is the request. And if we did that for the next 5 years, then we stand a chance at buying a fire truck without borrowing. Right? And that's always the point. We've never borrowed a dime to buy a fire truck in this town. And we don't want to start now.
And the life expectancy is 25 years, almost done. Hopefully.
We've gotten 25 and then some out of everyone so far.
Where's the laughing? How old are the laughing? 30?
The one that we're just now replacing, it's a 1996, so it'd be
30.
30.
I know they spend a lot of time on the road these days, I mean, they do when you guys are out there, but with the salt and stuff that they put on now,
Oh.
has that changed?
Crazy.
And, yeah,
Yeah, well, yes, but our maintenance, since we had added full timers and then we gave them a pressure washer.
Yeah.
And a pressure washer that had soap, and we're able to counteract an awful lot.
Got it.
So we do a lot more.
And that is important with the stuff going on the roads today.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful. It is awful. Awful.
So I asked for this line to be increased by an extra 5,000. We talked about the need for turnout gear, and if you're gonna build it in, it should be something that's consistent, and we've been blessed with other sources of funds. Federal largely, whether it's grant or, well, grant, but we had COVID money, we've got grant money, SCBA and turnout gear. And we need to get, I know Todd talks about a truck and a truck and a truck, but this is our equipment account, and so we may not be in a position to be able to put out 250,000 to upgrade SCBA equipment in the future. And we may not be able to just lump sum half of our turnout gear, and we need to keep everybody thinking about fire equipment as a whole and our. Yes, we have the ability, but we should be planning, and it's not that we're gonna ever borrow a dime for a fire truck, because you won't get a fire truck. We don't want to surge that to the tax base or have to pull from somewhere that makes us uncomfortable, so. I'm all about the planning, it's a savings account, we're not spending it unless this board blesses it, but. We've been fortunate with all the grants that we've got in the past to wipe out. $400,000 worth of local tax expense, and that may not always be there, so. I asked for the plus up on this.
Yeah, it started at 120 and then the 5 is. And in January, I wanna place a gear order for the one. Giant that I have. My second story guy.
This money, as we put it away, it's going into just savings funds. We're only getting, the 4 or 5% interest. It's not like we're,
Left pocket, right?
yeah, we're not playing with it on the market or whatever like that, taking chances. Can we do something like that in a CD where there's not a lot of chances we can increase
Have to
our
draw.
interest? I mean. I
Right, the
don't know.
penalty would be heavy if you have to draw, and
Oh,
So
yeah.
if we had an unexpected
Oh.
expense, but
I don't know
I'll
what
defer to. the-
Our
the
base
money.
rate on our savings accounts are not base rates on your savings account. We've negotiated the whole portfolio rate.
Yeah.
We still make a pretty healthy rate just on a savings. We do have a couple larger CDs, and then we also hold investments. That are producing very well for us this year, and we'll look at that.
Yeah,
Another
no, I
couple
didn't
weeks,
see
but-
that. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, it has to be pretty liquid, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not
You-
even
There
much.
should be a $30,000 fire truck for tonight.
No, he was coming.
Exactly, yeah, and it was-
We just want to get the conversation up there.
And-
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue seeing any reserves go up. Like it's,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, good, because in that note,
You're planning for the future.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
do you wanna talk about, if you're not gonna do a motion, we can move on to fire. The fire building.
Yeah.
Okay, so
We opened that door.
for years, more or less ever since Richard's been here, ever since we built the fire station. We've been putting 10 in that account and 20 in every other town building. Reserve account. Because we keep saying, fire station's new, the fire station's new, well, guess what? January 6th, it's gonna be 10 years old, so. It's not a new building anymore, and to make that point, we've replaced a boiler in the last couple of years. We replaced the siding, right, so we drew 30 grand out of that, we're here recently. And we had a tenant last town meeting, so, I think if my math is right, it usually is around 63,000 would be in that at the end of this calendar year. I'm asking to put 20 in it. You're still probably never gonna build that enough to build its replacement someday, probably
I don't think.
not realistic.
No,
Keep this
no.
now.
But you know what, we said that on the last fire station, but we got halfway there.
Yeah, no, we did,
We got
yeah.
halfway there. And maybe that's the goal, and who knows what the replacement fire station we're gonna be someday, we'll all be dead and gone.
Burn it down, you get some insurance money.
We'll take the
We're
trucks
gonna
out.
take those out of that.
Right,
Now,
right. Well, I mean, the roof is 8
The
years
roof
out
is
from
going.
needing to be replaced.
Yeah.
And we
It's
won't
10
put, we
years
won't
old.
put shingles back on it,
What?
cause they don't make no sense.
No, I wouldn't put them on doghouse, since I didn't like the dog.
Pretty much, and it won't be cheap. 8 years out, what's a steel roof gonna cost? Right, it's gonna have a hefty price tag.
Yeah,
So.
Yeah, 8 or 10 years that we'll need a roof.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think it's time to stop calling it a new building and making it 10 every year, let's get in line with all the other buildings and make it.
I agree.
I need to bring Chuck an application.
You think so that friggin' propane blows up tonight, bro?
Stand up on Thursday nights at the fire station.
Mhm.
so any questions about, I'll be back for all your meetings, but, if you have anything, fire away.
That makes sense.
No, I'm good. It does make sense.
To me, it makes sense.
Appreciate what you do.
Yeah, sure. Haven't got any nasty letter.
True, we have not, and hopefully we don't.
Except for the dog in the doghouse.
Yeah.
Shingles.
We're gonna roll on back to Public Works, which is under Article 10, which probably won't be, but that's how they're marked still from last year. Public Works is your biggest budget, aside from your capital reserves. This is coming in at 775, 525. The department has operated short-staffed largely throughout the year. The turnover is just a reality, and so that's why we're able to budget some of those spaces flat over previous year. Not necessarily versus actual, but for what our request is. The part-time help, because the full-time is understaffed, if I can get fully staffed, then our part-time help will decrease. And your overtime line, I've budgeted up a couple more thousand to come more in line with your actual. Those numbers kind of trickle down through largely because of the structure of the department and absenteeism, if you will. The fact that we don't have people there all the time is a cost saver for this. So anyway, you work your way down through, and what's going to come out with this budget is that the expense is up 4775. So less than $5,000 this budget is up. And your net to tax will actually be flat just by adding $5,000 in forecasted excise tax. So where we're at on that, and I'm happy to take a line by line if anybody has any questions.
What got us on equipment and maintenance and repair?
It always comes in that way. I mean, you can look in the past, 38, 54, 63, 52, and it's honestly, it's a lot of trucks. It's your truck bills,
Okay, yeah.
What do you think you're gonna come in at excise taxes?
This number here is pretty slow. I mean, we'll probably be in, if I had to guess, we'll be close to 840. I was talking to Joni last night in Smithfield because our fees are down. So the number of transactions that we're doing in this office are down. Hers are down too. It's different for her because that money goes into her pocket, or it's not going into her pocket right now. But the traffic that we see through the town office is down, and it's not unique to us. But with the MSRP on vehicles going up, that's where we're making increased excise.
Yeah. And I'm putting off registering that thing in. That's why it's so low.
What are we spraying?
We spray, let's see, we spray curbing, we spray some parking lots. And then we also spray the old landfill for ticks to make it safe and reduce workers' comp on mowing.
Yep.
And an occasional spray for invasive plants.
Drug and medical testing, is that our drivers?
Yes,
Bad.
pre-screening and then my,
Randy.
yep, thank you.
Is that mandatory probably?
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, federal.
And how are we staff wise right now? Are we fully staffed again or no?
Half-assed.
It's arguable. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd have one more head up there and I'd be leveraging less part-time and creating a better quality job. But it's just I need consistency, and my part-timers right now are stand up, so I'll happily take
Good
them.
enough? Good enough? Yeah.
It's less for part-timers too, isn't it? I mean.
My hourly rate for part-timers is more because the cost of benefits is
less.
substantial
Yeah.
on the hour.
Looking for some
So
extra work, Joe.
Well, you know, 75 hours a week and 40 hours pay, you know, you look at different stuff.
value our benefits.
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding.
Health insurance alone is $8 or $9 an hour.
Yeah, it used to be over 7, so yeah, that would go up.
So if you take our health insurance, take your wage, and then we'll add another $8, say. And that's what we're paying out. That doesn't include your retirement benefits or what we're paying in taxes on that.
No matter what, if someone got a convenience store or anything, if help is a problem.
Yeah, it is. Good help.
Good looking through it.
Yeah.
You good looking through it.
80% of any
Yeah.
job is showing up every week.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 10 as written by, with the town manager's request.
The motion?
Well, so
Second? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody checking.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Cemeteries is next, that is minus $250 over last year. My request is the same as the committee's request.
See anything that stands out.
What should stand out is the $2,000 per mapping budget from last year that went unexpended. They're really looking to try to get an intern or somebody to get that program stood up, to go out there and do that, and so I think this is gonna be the third year that we're doing it. The money keeps lapsing back into the general. But we want to get that done. You'll see an article in the newsletter the first of the year that's looking for volunteers or interns to come in and do that.
Cause there's just lack of people that do it.
A lack of interest, and we want people to do this for free, so. You know, in a perfect world, it'd be like the historical society partnering with us, and people could come in and take an iPad out and go out and take a picture of a headstone and enter in that type of information. It just. Everybody's got time crunches, whether you're young, middle-aged, or old. And
Right,
so
but
we're
every-
looking at a possible intern or something like that, maybe an IT intern or history intern or something like that.
Is there any? Interest or thought of actually, I mean, writing a bid and putting it out? I mean, there are people that do it professionally, correct? No,
Well,
Right, yeah, yeah.
when I say mapping, I don't, it's a layout of the cemetery, but it's really an inventory of the layout. of the
who's
cemetery.
where
I
and
have
where,
maps, right,
right? Well, I know in the past we've had issues with who's where and under what.
right, and then we have to move them and twist them and negotiate lots, yes.
Right.
But this would help with tracking. So it would get you the layout, it would be an iPad, ideally an iPad that's got software on it that would, you know, geolocate, would say, okay, I'm pinned at this point in the cemetery on this lot, and there's a recurring subscription fee. This is not something that would go away once it was there. It's like, say, $1,500 a year, $2,000 a year for the software.
I think it makes sense. It really, it's a place
Right.
where you do want to be accurate, and the more accurate are, the more real estate you have available to sell.
And we've got 11 cemeteries, I think 11 cemeteries, and so you've got 3 huge ones and then other ones that, you know, people don't think about, but we would like to start getting an inventory on them. So,
Good. I'll make a motion to accept Article 11 as written with the town manager's request.
Motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody.
next is general assistance. This is just a lump sum budget of 5,600. I don't pull it out by anything. This is local welfare. It's reimbursed by the state of Maine under the state of Maine guidelines for income and expenses.
Make a motion to accept Article 12 as written by the town manager.
Something that.
Motion is second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody?
I'm gonna hit on rec real briefly, and that's gonna be your top line. You'll remember we tried that position, the community position last year. And I think kind of what settled out amongst the committees in this board was break it up, put it in as a stipend position. So there's a rec director in here for 18,000 that I've got planned in, and I kind of went down through. The committee will review this again next week. We're gonna pass over and we'll come back to it at your next regular meeting. But the 18,000 is there, and that doesn't do benefits or time off or anything overtime. That would be the stipend. On your next page is parks, which is another incomplete budget, and that's 7,000 for the program director to support the efforts of the parks.
Yeah.
And that's the 25,000. But proportionate hours and involvement, and then that takes away all of the complexities and layers of overtime expectations, wage, benefits, and all of that. So what you'll see in that is you have that baseline, but then we'll see the taxes and associated expenses with wage, those will rise. And that's all planned in that, but we will pass over that for the Parks Committee to make their recommendation next week. The library is what's up next, and the library presents to you a budget that's up $1,090 versus previous year. My request is the same as the trustees.
I'll make a motion to take the town manager's recommendation.
There's a motion,
I'll second those.
second, any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody?
The next is code enforcement. This budget, shows an increase versus the previous year of about $2,700, on net expense.
She was just,
It's, once you look at fees versus previous year, the net cost of the department is an increase of about $1,700. What we see is, a level salary. We are seeing against actuals, there's no health insurance for that position, where last year it was kind of more, a little bit throughout the year. What I did do was, I added in, I doubled legal from 2,500 to 5,000. And that'll be a future conversation we need to have, but if we're gonna move on these, we went to court last week, we've got, 2 orders right now and possibly a pending third where we will recoup, the legal money, so. We need some upstart money to be able to pay these bills on the budget, and then when that money comes back in, eventually that will offset that as a revenue, or, we can put that into an account and offset indirectly, like we would animal control or something like that, but. That's your big shift on that, in the department, is to try to get that money going. And I did take their plumbing fees and bump those up more than the actual, just to try to bring down the cost of the department.
Make a motion to accept Article 16 as written with the town manager's request.
I gotta set this one out, so,
Good,
yeah.
perfect item.
I'll second. I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? It's 3 and 1 abstained.
Thank you. Perfect.
Thank you.
The next is the planning board. Planning board is renewing their request from 2025 to be duplicated into 2026. So that is my request as well, $4,200, no increase.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 17 as proposed by the town manager.
So motion? Second, any discussion? Seeing none, is that board full?
well, no.
It is right now until the 31st, and then we have a resignation. And then we have 3 seats that are up for election in March, and I've got 2 sets of papers out.
So we're looking at having one
We'll
vacant
do
coming
one
into
vacant,
next year. Okay,
yeah.
well, that's
Yep.
better than what I had thought.
Gene, that's what she.
I believe Caroline and Andy were both appointed last year, so those terms will both expire after the first year. And then she's not rerunning. Her resignation effective the 31st. Andy Levitt and you have drawn papers.
Oh, he did take some.
He did.
Yep. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody?
Next is the local philanthropy budget, formerly social services, and it's a flat request of $8,000. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah,
About getting rid of it, but here it is.
I'll make a motion, we take the town manager's request.
yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, thank you.
We hashed it out last year.
Yes, yeah, I think so, and I'm glad it went, and I like where it went to.
This town's not broke.
No, we're not, and they're good organizations, and I appreciate what we do here for those organizations, I think they're well received. So motion a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, and that's everybody.
Summer grounds, this is the project that we bid out, and that results in a reduction of $3,000 to $45,000 in this department for the upcoming season.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 19 as proposed by the town manager.
So motion and a
I'll second it.
second, any discussion? Only thank you to Nickerson's for being competitive, we all appreciate a reduction, so, right. Anything else? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody.
Next is debt services is related to the sewer bond and the upgrade, back to 2020. The town by ordinance is responsible for the, principal, and the sewer users are responsible for the interest. And next year's payments due $96,114.45, so 96,115.
I'll make a motion, we give them 96,115. Town manager's request.
Motion and a second, oh, there's that balance right there.
No grunty, no fussy.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, that's everybody.
Next up is your unclassified account. This is showing an increase of 100, which I have just budgeted on Maine municipal dues, is going up $100. I've left your airport contribution as flat over last year, but that'd be your pleasure. Everything else is confirmed for rates.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 21 as proposed by the town manager.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody.
Next is contingency. We bumped this up last year from 10 to 25. For some reason, can't remember, but we haven't used any of it. We have not used any of it, but because of the way that we budget, I would recommend that we approve 25,000.
I'll make a motion to accept Article 23 with the 25,000 town manager's request.
So motion
I'll second
and a
it.
second. Any discussion?
Got a plan for those emergencies.
Right,
You just never
yeah,
know.
it would be nice to reduce that sum just to slightly shift that, 2% down, but I probably short-sighted, so, yeah. I really-
It doesn't take long to spend
Right,
25 grand these days.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, all those in favor? That's everybody?
I'm gonna high level on the capital reserves, but we won't vote on this. Taking you from the top, cemetery maintenance, the cemetery committees renewed their request for 15,000 again this year. That's gonna put them in a pretty healthy balanced position at the end of the year. The airport, I've put through the 10,000 continued request. Moving down to libraries, the library committee has asked for an increase in 5,000. I don't know if you want to revisit that yourselves in terms of long-term planning, or if you wanna see how that works out. But that was their request there. I've just, for placeholder, renewed parks at 20, public works at 100 for equipment and 20 for their building. They're doing a pretty good job saving on the equipment account, but things aren't getting any cheaper. Your rec, I put the placeholder in, that's actually needs to be 30 to keep flat for last year. Roads, flat. The sewer, I've incorporated that at the 35,000, and I've already put your recommendation over because that was your idea. Tax reval, the Board of Assessors have requested 25, and then the town office building account 20,000. So that's where we're looking on that. That will increase your total, which is different than what's on your sheet, right? It'll be 65,000 extra over last year, but into reserves with the recommendation. And we'll revisit that at your next meeting once we have Parks and Rec built in.
What was they talking about a rebuild? How much was they achieved out? Kind of throwing out.
I wasn't at your last meeting, but if I had to throw you out a number for a reval, you're looking at probably $250,000.
Yeah. Well, damn money.
When did we do the last one?
Ooh.
Was completed in
17.
2016 and went to tax in 17.
Yeah. 17, like a while ago. Yeah, so,
We are off a long ways.
because I mean, yeah, since the pandemic, I mean,
Right, which is affected Hempstead, right?
I mean, but
Yes, and
Because we can't
juice and, or I say juice, we level, we factor. And so that's why you see your values increase, and even with what we've been doing, it's all equitable, if you will. We're still losing ground.
still losing, because that's how come the homestead exemption.
benefited us at some point to
Mhm.
do that evaluation.
They were a few years.
So wasn't it?
I don't know. I mean, that's what.
We have an RFP we're working on, well, Donna and I do, that we're gonna take to the tax assessors after town meeting, we're very likely gonna issue it. It will be an open-ended, we can't put a time frame on it, because what's happening is we're seeing, RFPs be issued. And nobody's responding because we're saying we want it done by 2028 or 2029.
There's some,
The number of firms that can do that, not reasonable, and
Really?
because it's some really, real estate's gone up so much,
everybody's demanding.
everyone's doing it, so they, I mean. The amount, every town wants it done, and the amount of outfits that do it,
So
it's just so much.
We could be 5 or 6 years out from where we go.
Well, you get it,
Jesus, really?
So
No
it
kidding?
may behoove us to plan on 5 or 6 years. Do we need to up that money a little bit to make sure we have enough?
The tax assessors reviewed all of that, and they're comfortable with the trend that they're at, knowing that when that time comes, it's a commitment that we'll have, and we'll have.
a couple times, and bump the whole town up like 10 to 20%, to keep up with that, try to keep up with that 70%, but. Because real estate's gone up so much, I mean.
Just be thankful you're not the town that did it just before or during the time that real estate was going up,
Right.
because they didn't even get the reval done and they were back to 70%.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Right,
do.
that's money out the
Imagine.
window.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, some of them just did it, I mean, they were throwing that money out the window.
yeah.
So,
Okay, other business. Immediately for other business, you've got the letter right in front of you. Uh, No one wants me to read that aloud, I can assure you. If somebody else wants to read it aloud, they can.
a letter from a resident of Wild Hill Road that expresses concern about noise, and wonders why we don't have noise or there's information related to that.
I went and talked to that resident that has those tractors, and I mean, I'm dumbfounded by it, cause, and, you know, he had a pile of dirt. That the town, that they, when they built the road, and he moved it out back with his wheelhouse tractor. Which was quite close to it, and that's probably some of that, and he goes to work, I thought he was gonna be here tonight, but he goes to work a couple mornings a week at 1 o'clock. Drives truck, he is kind of a, but he's got a big family, and he goes to antique all his little lawn garden posts. And they do run him somebody, I mean, he was completely blindsided by. That he was disturbing her, the only time he ever seen her is when he taken some packages over to her that they've delivered to her house, I mean, he was. I thought he was gonna be here tonight, but he's leaving this morning 1 o'clock. And he does have a diesel pickup that he starts when it's cold weather, but he was pretty dumbfounded that he was disturbing her at all, but that was his take to it.
So, is this something you think that you could maybe encourage this?
Well, he
neighbor-
was, I mean, that next morning, I went up to see him again, I showed him to him at night, he was just getting home. He tried to get his phone on it, and I says, did you see that good enough last night, do you wanna get a coffee? And he didn't, to try to plow his door out till like 10 o'clock the next morning, cause he plows it with what's a wheelhouse tractor, we got 2, 3 of them. We've got all these kids that they go down to, you know, the antique tractor club, and he does have a farm tractor too, but I mean, they're old ones, they ain't no souped up, whatever, but I mean, he was, he was taken back as hell that he was.
So do you think that this neighbor would approach the neighbor and say, I get your concerns and I'm gonna be more?
Well, I haven't talked to him since that morning, that Saturday morning that
Do you think you could facilitate that for us?
Yeah.
I'd like for it to be responsive and not have to be a finger, I'm glad he didn't show up, because I don't wanna be a finger point.
Well, cause he was reason, because he going, well, he leaving at 1 o'clock this morning, this is today that he goes overnight, so he didn't know. If he would be here or not, cause he's gonna be gone for like 48 hours, this, he works at NRES out of Augusta or something, trucking, they got like, I don't know, they got some kids and they got some foster kids and.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, he was. I mean, he pretty did dumbfounded that he was disturbing her at all, I mean, these wheelhouse tractors, or sometimes there always a bull ones there or something I see, but, I mean, they're not. Straight pipe tractors or. And cause that pile of dirt he was moving, he moved it, he's persistent himself, with that little tractor, like 2, 3. Triaxle goes up back to his house to fill in there, cause they couldn't get out there with the big truck, and the truck. You know, and that, maybe that did bother, but I mean, that letter, I mean, my God, I mean.
So with these, it's kind of a fine line. I mean, if you choose to, and I don't know the circumstances of this one exactly, but if you choose to move that dirt pile at 1 AM.
No, he wasn't doing.
No, and I'm not speaking to this, some other complaints that have come in, someone decided to cut firewood at 3 AM. In a residential neighborhood.
The night one was, he leaves 2 mornings a week, I think he said about 1, he does have a diesel pickup. And he had been this cold weather, I mean, he was starting it up, 10 minutes or so before he took off, but I mean, he certainly. I mean, he said he was gonna park in a different spot, maybe get a hold of it, but I mean, he was. I mean, because I mean, get rid of farm equipment, what the hell is this?
Well, our other ones that you're familiar, right? We got the generator downtown. We've had some
Well, that's why.
other pickup truck complaints. If you choose to do burnouts in your driveway at 2 AM.
Well, these are just.
Technically, there's nothing here, or we don't have anything.
That, these are.
Law enforcement can do something with something like that if called and can respond with.
Right, and then the chainsaw thing too, if you decide to cut firewood at 3 AM, on our end, we don't have anything for noise. And I think maybe this lady is trying to drive home that we do kind of have a need. I know if we have something, it helps law enforcement. Because right now you're responding on disturbing the peace or.
Yeah, it's a disorderly conduct.
But I mean, but that,
Warned first and things like that, so.
And that like, so would running the chainsaw at night?
Yeah, I mean, it potentially falls into that if you're running it and it's not reasonable, so it's a reason, the key word is reasonable.
So
if
who
it's-
dictates, so if I wanna cut firewood at 3 a.m. tomorrow,
But it's disturbing your neighbors, that's not. If I was the responding officer, I would not find that reasonable, why are you doing it at 3 a.m. when you can do it at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
Cause it is disturbing the peace of the neighbors or whatever, so, I mean, it's kind of. Gray and there's interpretation,
falls to the discretion of the officer.
it is, and if you had an ordinance though. That would help.
cause that trailer drove right up.
It would help a deputy. I don't wanna get into the specifics of this case.
Right.
I think that brought the impetus for her requesting us to consider noise regulation.
Right,
So you're saying that if we had a local ordinance, that the sheriff's office would support the enforcement of that ordinance?
I can't say, I can't speak for the sheriff, but I mean, if the town has an ordinance that we're given powers to enforce. That would give us another tool in the toolbox. Versus if, if maybe it wasn't a criminal thing that could be done right at that point, we still have an ordinance that we're enforcing.
because if we have someone that. Works during the day and their only time to do this stuff is at night. Who's to say it's not unreasonable, but if we say that you can't do this between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. Regardless of your circumstances, it says you can't.
I mean, I don't think it's, other
And I
than,
don't believe in this case that it's anything malicious.
no, I don't, that fucking did it. I mean, he was even.
Yeah, and you kind of have to remove the persons. I know with this one, it is two particular people, but as for us as a whole, it's. Every case of this is going to be a little different.
I thought.
And the last thing you want is to leave it to a neighbor to go try to approach another neighbor.
Yeah, sometimes that's not good, yeah, it can cause friction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to have that, and I'm glad you were able in this case to go over and
Was it?
speak to them.
I said, what the hell, this is a Wilder Hill, because Weldon Comic was still cutting some hay over there, and, I mean, this time of year, what's going on, farm tractors and what, hell, that.
Right, yeah, right, like
I would
it's
like
completely
to
out of
have
code. I mean, nothing for code we do. We have no grounds to say or
And then-
do or,
On noise,
I would like to have something to help us too with a specific generator in the middle of town.
do we, do we have an interest in wanting to maybe look at some other ordinances, from other towns to see what there is and what we like?
But I mean, like that situation out there, so you're gonna start saying now, people can't use a snow blower?
no,
Well,
that's
so I-
reasonable, you've got to clear. I mean, that's a thing,
It is.
get out of your driveway, so that's different.
But I mean, he has that dirt there, so he moves it out back of his house, I mean, and I'm sure he wasn't doing that at midnight.
No, right, so you have to remove the specifics of this incident, right? Whether it be, I mean, that's what,
But,
yeah, that's one
cause
side.
they're building the road out there, was that was during the day.
Right, we wouldn't let
That-
someone build the road at 2 a.m.
No, but that was a lot of noise,
Well,
I mean.
Depends on if they gave us our discount.
Probably not a good analogy there.
No.
But I mean,
But yeah, I mean, looking at what the letter was that was sent to us, and
Yeah,
reading,
I wish-
it was very well written,
well, yeah,
that there are some.
I wish I
specifics
could-
around the
I
state.
should have gone to school later, cause I wish I could write a letter like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I guess, we have computers these days.
Are you aware of a
AI would
municipality?
work
Yeah, I'm damn right.
Are you aware of a municipality that has a sound or noise ordinance that?
Not offhand.
I don't wanna be like Waterville.
Oh, no, I'm just,
No.
I mean, Waterville has one, I mean, you're right. I think you'll find most every town around us has one.
Why?
except Norridgewock. A noise ordinance.
We don't.
Okay, I'll look around, I'll bring something back.
Mercer.
Wow, I didn't know if I'd go that
Yeah,
direct.
do we wanna get that far, I mean, Jason, fine.
We will not put too much work into this, we'll get you a skeleton that you can take a look at, and then you can bounce it around.
I like it.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, I think we have a downtown area, so I think,
I will respond to this letter and let her know.
Thank you.
yes,
Yeah.
no.
Did you see her?
It's well.
No,
written.
it's not really my business to get into the personal
Nobody.
interactions between neighbors. And that's, the only reason that you heard the specifics of it was so she could set up her claim for concern that she'd like to see a noise ordinance. And I think that it resonates with Matt because of the generator downtown, and Jeff Eck was the same type of a thing, so
How's that going?
It's still running.
I know it's
good,
true.
running good.
I go by there.
Third or fourth generator.
I go-
I was gonna say, if it's the same generator, right?
Right.
It can be. No way.
I go by there 10 times a day.
And what
To
we,
run an extension cord in like that, an electrical code.
that's not in our code. That's not something we do. We're not subject to that. If the state wanted to look into that, there's some things on the fire department side,
So I
but
was
we
gonna
don't,
say-
we don't operate.
What's
Like,
that?
we're not at that population density that those things are automatically
Would,
triggered.
would a fire marshal be something they would?
I bet he drives by that every day.
Cause that would be a
Not to
concern
mention
for me, if I own that
they
building, if I own that building beside them, and there's a potential of a fire hazard, that would concern me.
So he was our first person to bring the abutting landowner was the first one to start with the noise thing and the need for a noise ordinance. And initially, I don't wanna say we discredited it, but we chose not to act.
Well, God.
Since then, I fielded other complaints, and code is not able. I have referred anyone to the sheriffs. But we're also, I mean, the sheriffs are, no, I'm not
So-
putting
so-
fault here. A chainsaw running at night is not a priority when there's a domestic in Bingham.
But a generator running for somebody's electricity would fall under that, it's reasonable, the reason they're doing it, because we can't say that we can't do it, so that's a reasonable, I mean, that's. Powering things that need to keep them alive, other than something that may be an electrical code, which we can't do
I
anything.
mean, somebody living off the grid who doesn't want any electricity, whether we don't even have any.
Scope of
Yeah,
this.
yes, yeah, we are kind of out of.
If we want to schedule this for a future agenda, I don't know, schedule it for a future agenda.
Yeah, well, if you come back with some noise things, we'll schedule
See it on the
something and
future
have a,
agenda.
yeah, see it on.
Probably after town meeting.
Next,
I would imagine so.
Thank you.
And does the board have anything else for other business?
along that, we're gonna discuss the airport fuel at some point, right? Maybe in the
Not
next,
tonight.
next one or something.
Okay,
Sounds good.
So for other business, I would be curious on what this landfill fire is all about. Anybody know anything about that?
what piece?
The landfill? There's a
You
fire.
wanna speak to it?
Yeah, I'd like to, I'm just curious, I'd like to know what the circumstances that happened on fire at landfill and we can't put it out.
Oh, I'll just, we'll limit discussion with that and refer to the chief.
Thank you.
Sorry, put you on the spot there.
What's that?
So Jeff's question was the, recent fire out at the landfill. And the request,
Reasons why we couldn't put it out. I'm only hearing bits and pieces, so I'm just asking questions. So I
Yeah, that's fair.
understand the situation.
That's fair. So there's been fires in the past at the landfill. Largely surface fires. Easy to see, relatively easy to put out. And those get dealt with, and I don't think there's any. I don't think any part of this has to do with a surface fire. Recently, they had a couple of subsurface fires. What causes them? You know, who knows?
Right,
Probably not a cigarette butt, you're talking about a commercial landfill, could be something like a lithium battery or something
Right.
like that, right?
I guess
No.
the part around my question is why we was told we couldn't put it out, we couldn't touch it. If that was correct, I'm not even sure if that was correct.
Well, thanks, let's start with the reality is we can touch it if we want to.
Okay,
Okay, state of Maine law. We can take over any fire scene and do what we feel as though we need to do. However, in the case, a very recent case, this past weekend, we were asked. And that goes a long way with me, by the owner of the subsurface fire, not to. There's a. I'm gonna say relatively new. Direction that the waste management people are trying to not dig for fires. Is there another way to put them out, such as smothering them? And that's what they want to try and do. And maybe they were successful, I don't know, I haven't been called back, so we were asked not to, because it's really has more to do with not disturbing whatever's underground. right?
Oh, I understand that too.
Right,
Yeah,
so when you start disturbing that stuff, you start subjecting firefighters to it, you start subjecting waste management
Atmosphere.
employees to it. You know, something might become airborne, blah, 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 right, so why do all of that? If there's an alternative way. And so they're trying to get better at maybe being able to smother some of these fires in other ways, so.
makes sense.
They asked me. Okay, it's your landfill, you know, that's fine, if I felt like the public was in any danger. Or any firefighters, or even any of their employees were in any kind of danger. Then I would have said, no, sorry, this is what we're gonna do. I have that right, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't use discretion. And, I thought it was a very reasonable request, and I believe they've been pretty successful with what they're trying to do, so.
That's perfect.
Make sense?
Yes, most definitely.
You know, so we turned around and went home.
I think
Very
there's
happy.
just a lot of people that weren't sure on what happened and speculations come from it, so explanation was good.
Yep.
No, and if I had to guess, you got a corporation like that, they've got procedure and protocol in place.
Right,
That's what they do for a living.
I think
And they've
and
got,
they're trying, I think they're trying to optimize some of that too. And so Jeff McGowan and I've had quite a few conversations with him over the last couple of weeks, and so. We're trying to find a training company. That has some material already developed, some content, if you will, some collateral. That Jeff could sponsor, bringing in and teaching them and teaching us collaboratively. More about this stuff, and so Jeff reached out and offered that. I thought, great idea. I've got some feelers out to some people that I know that are in the fire training business.
Yes.
There was a thought today about checking with Rochester, New Hampshire Fire Department. That's where another one of their landfill, maybe they've already gone through something similar.
I'm pretty sure they have.
Right, so
I've been a part of it.
So there you go. So, you know, more to come on that, but I would expect a training event in the reasonably near future, maybe when it's warmer weather, but, to, you know, what is the best way on a subsurface fire? I think everybody will agree, a surface fire that's running across, you know, it looks not much different than a woods fire. You go put it out, but those are your choices, you go put it out. But a subsurface fire, maybe you do more harm than good if you start digging for it, maybe it's dealt with in other ways, right, so.
These batteries raising hell with it, Lord, I mean, wouldn't really causing a lot of fire, these super, what do they call them,
The
batteries?
lithium
Yeah.
ion batteries, yeah. I think, sure, I think yes. I think there's a Norridgewock resident that would tell you yes, who had a part of his business disrupted by a
Oh,
lithium
Yeah,
battery
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
There's
that's right.
a fire station in northern Maine that burned down because of lithium batteries in their fire station. There's plenty of examples of it, and then you throw all that in the mosh pit, right, and bury it, it's still there. So I think it's only natural that over the last several years. The incidences are going up, however. They continue to develop the technology, so now you know lithium ion phosphate batteries, which are less likely, much less likely to burn. There's sodium batteries under development, and you know, I think those are much safer. I think this bubble that we've created with the lithium batteries is gonna produce a bubble in lithium battery incidents. But I think long term, other technologies are gonna prevail, both from a capacity issue and a cost issue. I don't think lithium's here for that long.
I think it's safety issue too, for sure. We've seen that. No, that works. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so it's a very valid request, and
They used to get the old dump on fireworks week, I mean, you doing it all.
Yeah.
whether they needed it or not, that took care of the text, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, they used to burn, I mean, they used to open it burn, but all the year they'd get on fire and have a hell of a time.
Yeah.
I do have one more. Question.
Can I just finish that one up?
Sure.
I did meet with senior district manager and assistant senior district manager. On this, they communicate on incidents like this all the time. They ongoing monitoring of that site as well as testing to ensure that the fire was extinguished and it didn't pose a threat. So it did take a while for it to come under control, but they did do that and they communicate constantly with us whenever there's an incident, even if it's a non-incident. If
We
you get this
communicate.
bad.
I've talked to Jeff 3 times today. We didn't have any issues today, so. It's interesting in part because, you know, they say, don't dig it up. We'll deal with it and they have some, you know, some other ways to do it. The interesting thing is from a fire service perspective, we would tell you that doesn't work. So we go out in the woods. And you got a bunch of logs on fire, oh yeah, bury them. We would tell you, no, they're gonna burn. That's not necessarily the same thing as a landfill, right? So we want that training, we want to take Jeff up on his offer, we want to figure out what's the best way to handle it. In the meantime, he made me a very valid request, so yeah, we respected it.
Yeah, no, and maybe, like I said, there was just some concerned people didn't know what situation, when speculation runs rampant when you get just a little bit of information.
Very much
Oh,
so,
yeah.
very much.
Clarification makes.
Well, and on the note of clarification, I mean, for Norridgewock residents and anybody that pays to use the landfill, you can turn in all those batteries
Yes.
for free
Correct.
at the back gate when you go there. Doesn't cost you anything. Save your power tool batteries and your other batteries and just hand them. Danny's right there, the other gentleman, they'll take them, there's no charge, keeps them out of the
Just throw
landfill.
them in with the demo equipment, they handle them separately. Yeah.
So, good question.
Yeah.
What else you got?
The only other question I had come up was, airport hangars. What is, I don't wanna use the word legal, but what is this, appropriate? These hangars, I've heard are now are almost living spaces. Is that right, or is that part of the deal out there, or, I mean,
Right, technically you own the hangar, right?
so that's someone, is it?
So, it ranges from what we've got. We've got nested T hangers, which are pretty much wide open to the elements, most of them. Some of those nested Ts have almost been combined. Then you have, one, that's one of our oldest hangars that has a mobile home fixed into it.
Really?
Yep, and
Does someone
then,
live in there? Or
no,
is it just
no, I mean, it could be,
comfortable
but
space when you go there?
you got it. And then there's another one, I mean, you got a really nice high-end office in there and a toilet with a holding tank. And you've got another one that's got a conference/meeting room in there. No, there's nothing that prohibits that. They are subject to permitting the same way as everybody else. If you're gonna go put a new office in your house, that's not a permit issue for the town of Norridgewock. What we do care about is that it's not used for non-aviation purposes, so it's not to be storage units or things like that. If it's empty, I can't do anything about it. But if you're starting to store your boats and your Sea-Doos or RVs or things like that, that's when it becomes a violation of the lease.
So how do we know they're not?
We don't, what we are going to do when, we get some free time, because I'm not gonna put staff at the airport in that kind of a situation in terms of relationships with the customers. But I am going to go put boots on the ground and going to ask for folks to voluntarily invite me into their hangars to make sure that they're in compliance. And if they don't, then it might raise a red flag, and if nothing else, then it will bring awareness amongst the airport community. Now, when we have difficult conversations about finances and things like that, as to how cooperative, forthcoming, these interested parties are.
Yep.
Would that fall to code or no?
No, it's,
No,
I mean, it could if you had nothing else to do, but other than that, it is, lease enforcement, it's legal.
Yep.
I mean, over the years, I mean,
Right.
when I used to cut the hay out there, I mean, I think some people, you know, probably smuggle a boat in there or something that wasn't used.
Oh, and it's a lot.
Rampant speculation on what's out there, what's stored in them,
You know,
and we've been out of them for a long time.
Right.
So I think we discussed this, that we,
but I mean,
and overstepping or not, the town wants in.
you know, cause they're gonna say, well, I pay taxes on it, and what harm's the boat doing there, you know, they really.
Well,
Maybe.
I pay a lot for the storage units in town, and if I could just store all my stuff in a storage unit out at the airport, well, I'd buy it.
It'd be cheaper.
Way cheaper. If you price storage units in town, they're expensive, I mean terribly expensive. So yeah, a hangar at the airport's cheap date.
Yeah, if you can go buy one, you can do
But you can't because it's a violation of the lease.
Because it's in, right, the lease says aviation use. My stacks of lumber that would age much better out there.
It'd be out of sight.
They would, but,
Shielded, so you meet the.
but it's not
But I
aviation,
mean,
I'm not gonna build a plane with
But
it.
I don't know what's going on out there, I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's a big deal or not.
Well, the idea is there should be a plane in it, because the plane is going to generate, it being registered here, I mean, all those things that trigger income that help support the airport, which is at a loss.
Right.
Is why those things need to be for aviation
But I mean,
use.
people
Why
die,
the
people get
questions
rid
are
of them.
coming up.
It is, and that's what, I mean, to Lindsay's credit, this is why all this came up.
Oh, God, we'd still be going over the budget.
But still, it was valid and brought some things to the front that were really, had been overlooked by all of me for a long time. So I'm glad she did, and it certainly was warranted, it's only fair.
We'll raise questions with other people, so.
Next up,
A motion to add discussion action on cemetery quitclaim deed to the agenda.
so moved.
Motion, second, any discussion, seeing none, all those in favor, it's everybody,
This is for the southern half of lot 275 in Sunset View Cemetery to David and Catherine Page.
Motion.
motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's everybody, you have anything else for the business? Yeah, I guess, so myself, the Mercer fire piece, the coverage of Mercer, I don't know how far I wanna go into this other than if, might really no way, if Mercer is shopping, is that a statement they are unhappy with the service that we provide or the cost of it? So I don't know if I'm looking for clarity or maybe a meeting with, I'm not sure, I don't. It's a little concerning to me. Just because if you saw the revenue pages there, I mean, that is a piece, and if that's lost, that's gotta be made up somewhere. 88,000.
80,000 this year.
So I don't know if it's a conversation for us and Mercer, I don't. So it's tough, right? I don't know what to make of that. I do find it a little concerning. I've not, this board, I don't know if you've heard anything from Mercer about being unhappy with our price tag or our services or.
I don't wanna do what's happened. And that's have a large discussion about this without public notice. I think
Okay.
it's fair to the two other towns to be a part of the process, because quite frankly, I went into Smithfield last night and that was one of my gripes was. Like, and honestly, I think it was just a surprise to the Smithfield board, what came up in conversation, because all of these things were happening. Now I find out back on the 9th of December. Mercer had a meeting about this, but nobody knew about it. So it is a concern. I shared that with Smithfield Select Board last night, like. They're our customer, we want them to be happy, the chief and I think this board is fully aligned in that. And we do have the capacity to meet their needs. Chief and I had a meeting today, we fully intend to go out to Mercer, whether we're invited or not, to hear them. And what are their concerns, if it's cost related, if it's service related, or if there's anything else. We want to bridge that gap. We wanna make sure that nobody's negotiating in bad faith, we wanna make sure that. Mercer understands that we do value the relationship that we have with them, that we are responsive, and if we're not, then what is it? And we offer to go out there, and I think that they've seen a lot of transition. They've seen a lot of transition in their leadership. And the only time we've seen any sort of detraction has never been direct with the town of Norridgewock. It's been usually a former member of their board going to Smithfield as a one-off and trying to create a path through. And that was a discussion that's been had in the past. The only discussion really that's been had in the past at Mercer was unilaterally by this one former select board member. So I've asked Smithfield to think about the process, to consider inviting administration or our board or whatnot, but to have a constructive conversation if they're gonna think about contracting, to have a meeting with the Mercer board, but obviously. Smithfield's a wonderful neighbor, but.
No, we're right, and we have
It's our
really good
existing-
relation, I don't wanna
It's
see
our
a
existing
rift or
contract.
anybody be upset with anybody else, I mean, we're so close. We really work hand in hand, I don't wanna see any issues arise of something.
But it's our contract, it's ours to defend, and I don't think that the select board in Smithfield is going to grab it. I think that maybe other entities, other parties are, so we're going to make the connection, the chief and I will, with the town of Mercer, will probably include the town of Smithfield in those conversations, because it's very difficult to run around people in conversation if everybody's got somebody at the table. And that's what's been
Right.
happening.
I'm glad you're willing to, so thank you, yes.
So,
But,
no,
is this a one-man band going on, or?
I'm not gonna get into that any more than I already have tonight. I think I've done more than I probably should have.
And I appreciate the explanation. and I
But we are working
appreciate-
proactively.
Yeah.
And it was honestly a fluke that I was going for the airport last night, and then I'm like, wait, what is this on the agenda? It's Smithfield, and so I hung around.
And what insurance companies have to say about this? Do they have much to about, I mean, I don't know, got anything to say about it, but I mean, if you got good coverage.
When we get to the point of bringing this back to the board, it will be an agenda item to discuss things like that. The town of Norridgewock is fully insured for the coverage that we provide to the.
No,
town.
but I mean, like. I know somebody, they ask you how far you live from them.
Oh, you're talking about homeowners and
Yeah.
their fire rating or whatever. I don't really know.
I mean,
Okay, but thank you for that, and we'll just,
It will.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that,
It
thank
will
you,
appear on
and
an
right,
agenda. And candidly, we may ask you for a one-off meeting, and I'm gonna ask for your extreme flexibility if it requires boards getting together in forums.
that's fine,
Fair.
more than,
Fair.
yes.
And it will very likely
I
not
mean,
get
I
out.
don't think Mercer ever had a fire.
Okay, we're not gonna
Yeah,
get into
yeah,
that.
yeah, don't wanna.
I thank you, and again, thank you to Smithfield, I thanked them last night,
Right
but,
on.
it's not an easy conversation when nobody really knows what's going on until y'all get dumped into a room.
A little awkward.
They've had their share of, they've had
I
their,
will say in response to one of the questions that came up is, I have never heard a complaint about the service.
no, I don't think it's that, I think that somebody's worried about the cost, but I think, yeah,
All right, then we'll just wait and see what they come back, thank you. And moving forward, anything for other business, you have nothing, okay, and there was just mine, that, always, do you have something?
No,
No.
getting up.
We'll move forward here, number 14, executive session pursuant 1 MRSA 4056C to discuss real estate and economic development.
Motion so moved.
Motion. Second. Discussion, none, all those in favor, everybody. And we're back.
All right, we're back on. I'd like to make a motion to allow the town manager to draft up a purchase and sales agreement for the 13 Wade Street property to Leap Properties LLC.
There's a motion,
Second.
second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone.
The next item for disposal of town-owned property is 10 Martin Stream Road. This was a tax acquired property. And the previous owner, has come in, settled that payment of all back taxes, fees, interest, and then any lost revenue in that meantime. So this would be a motion to release the town's interest in 10 Martin Stream Road, map 19, lot 50, to Alan Cobb, the owner, the person from whom the property was taken.
So moved.
Motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everyone.
And I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Yep. Motion, second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? That's everybody.